As soon as my parents heard Vanessa was coming with her children, my mother sprang into cleaning mode. She told everyone to tidy up. My 4-year-old Lily, who uses supplemental oxygen, wandered over, and before I could stop her, my mother snatched the nasal cannula from her face and barked, "Start cleaning now." I confronted her. "My daughter needs that mask. She might not survive without it." My father slapped me and ordered me to stand down. "Your sister is coming and we need to clean the house," he said. My mother added coldly, "Some children just need to learn about family priorities." I didn't argue. I quietly took Lily and left. And what I did next forced them to confront what they'd done. My name is Grace. I'm 29 and a single mother to Lily, my 4-year-old. Lily was born at 28 weeks with severe bronchopulmonary dysplasia. Doctors warned she might not reach her first birthday. She did. She fought. But she still relies on supplemental oxygen for many hours each day to keep her oxygen saturation where it needs to be. Her case is more severe than most and requires ongoing support. Being a single mom to a medically complex child is hard. Lily's father, Jake, left when bills mounted. "I didn't sign up for this," he said, as he packed. And we haven't heard from him since. For 3 years it's just been Lily and me against the world. And by and large, we've done well. My parents, Dorothy and Kenneth, have always valued appearances over substance. They care what the neighbors think more than what goes on inside their family. My older sister Vanessa was their ideal, married to a successful lawyer, 3 healthy kids, a big house in the suburbs. Vanessa fit their image perfectly. I did not. When Lily was diagnosed, my parents didn't become supportive grandparents. They seemed embarrassed instead. "Why can't you just fix her?" my mother asked early on, as if any parent could choose this for their child. Over time, their tone ranged from dismissive to cruel, comments about cost, how difficult it must be, hints I should consider other options. They never offered financial help, never offered to babysit so I could work more, and never learned about Lily's condition or her oxygen equipment. Meanwhile, Vanessa's milestones got the fanfare. Piano recitals, soccer games, kindergarten graduations, all treated as big events. Lily's milestones barely registered. When she took her first steps at 3, delayed because of her condition. The family barely acknowledged it. We were tolerated, not embraced. Despite that, I kept bringing Lily to family events, because I wanted her to know her grandparents. I hoped they would someday love her for who she is. Smart, funny, resilient, a child who loves dinosaurs, princess movies and chocolate ice cream, who gives the best hugs and invents bedtime stories for her stuffed animals. My parents never took the time to see that. This past Thanksgiving, Vanessa announced she'd visit for Christmas. My parents were ecstatic. The moment Vanessa set the dates, my mother went into overdrive. "You'd think the Queen of England was coming," she announced at dinner. She demanded a full, deep clean, fresh flowers, new linens, and she meant everything. "We need to clear out all the clutter." By clutter, she meant anything that belonged to Lily or me. Our coats were shuffled to a cramped closet, Lily's toys shoved to a corner of the basement, and even Lily's medical supplies were to be hidden. The week before Vanessa arrived, my mother's demands grew unreasonable. Wash walls, scrub baseboards, polish every surface. Worst of all, she expected everyone to drop what they were doing and help, including Lily. To be clear, Lily has good and bad days. Sometimes she can play briefly without oxygen. On bad days, she needs it almost constantly. The day Vanessa was meant to arrive was a bad day. Lily had a restless night. Her oxygen saturation was low. I'd brought her to my parents' house because my mother asked for everyone's help with the final preparations. I assumed she meant the adults. Lily sat quietly in the living room, her concentrator humming, tubing to a tiny nasal cannula. She colored a dinosaur page. She wasn't bothering anyone. My mother stormed in, inspected the room, and then her eyes landed on Lily. "Lily needs to help with the cleaning," she said. I told her Lily was having a rough breathing day and needed oxygen. My mother brushed me off. "She's perfectly fine. She can dust the lower surfaces." Then, without warning, she yanked the nasal cannula from Lily's nose and shouted at my 4-year-old, "Start cleaning now." Lily froze, then began to struggle. Her chest rose and fell quickly. Her lips turned blue. I rushed to my mother, begging her to put the cannula back. She held it away and called Lily dramatic and manipulative. Lily's breathing worsened. I said calmly, but firmly, that she wasn't dramatic. She had a serious medical condition and needed the cannula or she could pass out, even die. My father came in at that moment. Instead of helping, he sided with my mother. "What's all this noise?" he demanded. My mother declared I was making a fuss and insisted Lily could help. I pointed to Lily, nearly blue, gasping for breath. I asked my father to look. He glanced at her, then back at me and said we needed to clean, that Lily should help like everyone else. When I pleaded that she could die without oxygen, my father's face hardened. He slapped me across the face and ordered me to stand down, saying Vanessa's visit mattered more than my dramatics. My mother added, "Some children just need to learn about family priorities." My cheek burned. My ears rang. My own father had just hit me while my daughter struggled to breathe. Something clicked in me then. These were people who would let my child suffer to keep up appearances. I decided I would not be the doormat anymore. I stayed quiet in that moment to avoid escalating while Lily was in distress. I gently took the cannula back from my mother, who did not resist, and placed it in Lily's nose. Her breathing steadied. I scooped her up, gathered her equipment, and left. My mother protested, saying Vanessa would be there soon and I needed to stay. I looked at the two of them in their perfect living room, prioritizing appearances over their granddaughter's life, and said simply, "No, I really don't," and we left. On the drive home, Lily slept in her car seat, her portable concentrator humming. Watching her breathe easier, a rage I'd never felt rose up. They had risked my daughter's life to maintain an image. My father had hit me for protecting my child. I felt done with tolerance. It was time for consequences. At home, after putting Lily down for a nap, I called people who might understand or care. First, I called Vanessa. I told her everything about Lily's condition, what happens without the cannula, how my parents had taken it from her and refused to return it, and about the slap. Vanessa was quiet for a long time, then said she had no idea. "I never imagined they would do something so dangerous," she said. Next, I called relatives likely to sympathize. Aunt Margaret, my mother's sister, Uncle Tom, my father's brother, a retired pediatric nurse, cousin Rachel, a social worker, and even my 92-year-old grandmother. I told each of them the truth, what happened and the assault. I didn't ask for action. I let them draw conclusions. Reactions were as I expected. Horror from Aunt Margaret, fury from Uncle Tom, talk of reporting from Rachel, and disappointment from Grandma. Then I went online. My parents curated a spotless social media image, posting about Vanessa's upcoming visit and using plural grandchildren, conveniently omitting Lily. I wrote a post for my accounts. I didn't name names, but I recounted what had happened, how family members endangered a child for appearances and how they'd become violent when confronted. The response was immediate. Friends, family, co-workers, acquaintances. Many shared their own painful stories about uncaring relatives. My post spread. My mother called, furious. "What have you done?" "People are calling asking about Lily's condition." I told her the truth calmly. "You're making us look like monsters," she said. "I'm not making you look like anything," I replied. "I'm telling what you did." She insisted it wasn't serious. I told her Lily had been blue and close to losing consciousness. There was silence. "Take the post down," she demanded. "No," I said. "I won't. People need to know what you're capable of." She hung up. 20 minutes later, my father called, asking me to stop, saying I was embarrassing the family. I told him I was ensuring there were consequences. He tried to downplay it as a misunderstanding. I said it wasn't taking oxygen from a child who needs it is child endangerment, and slapping your daughter for protecting her child is assault. He fell quiet, then said Vanessa wanted to see Lily. I told him Lily would not be around them until they acknowledged what they did, and took steps to ensure it never happened again. The next morning, Vanessa texted asking if she could come talk. I agreed. She arrived with flowers and dinosaur gifts for Lily and apologized immediately. She had no idea. We sat in my living room while Lily played nearby, the concentrator humming. Vanessa confessed she'd known my parents favored her kids, but never imagined they'd actually endanger Lily's life. I told her this incident was only the worst of a pattern of dismissiveness and cruelty since Lily's diagnosis. Vanessa watched Lily play, really looking at her for perhaps the first time. She's so beautiful, Grace. She seems so happy and so smart. She is, I said. She's funny, creative, and incredibly resilient. But Mom and Dad never took the time to know her. They only see the medical equipment. Vanessa's face tightened. What they did yesterday was unforgivable, she said. When I got home, Mom immediately complained about your dramatics and said you ruined the day. I asked her to tell me exactly what happened. When she did, I was horrified. I told them what they described sounded like child abuse. If Lily had been my child, I would have called the police. I also told them I couldn't enjoy my visit knowing they'd treated you and Lily that way. How did they react? I asked. Mom cried and said no one understood how stressful it was to have everything perfect. Vanessa said. Dad got defensive, but I could see they knew they'd messed up. She stayed for 2 hours, played with Lily, and asked thoughtful questions about her condition and care. For the first time in years, someone in my family was seeing Lily as a person, not a problem. The fallout continued over the next few days. My social media post had spread through our extended family and community. People who knew my parents for decades expressed shock and disappointment. Several relatives reached out to offer support and apologize for not recognizing the mistreatment sooner. My grandmother called on Tuesday. I told Vanessa. Grace, dear, I'm so sorry about what happened with Lily, she said in her shaky but determined voice. I've spoken to your parents and I'm very disappointed in them. Grandma surprised me further. I've been leaving equal inheritances to you and Vanessa, she said. But Lily will have lifelong needs. I'm changing my will. Lily will receive a larger portion held in trust for her medical and educational expenses. I started to cry. Grandma added, I'm also removing your parents as executors and naming you instead. I can't trust them to make decisions in Lily's best interest. Her support felt overwhelming and necessary. Aunt Margaret organized a family meeting for the weekend. Your parents need to understand that their behavior was unacceptable, and they need to make amends if they want to remain part of this family, she said. By Thursday, my mother was calling repeatedly, begging me to stop and to calm things down. People are looking at us like we're criminals, she pleaded. I replied, maybe think about why that is. She insisted it had been a mistake, and that she didn't mean to hurt Lily. I reminded her that when I warned them Lily was in danger, they dismissed me and my father slapped me for protecting my daughter. She admitted quietly, he shouldn't have done that. I told her she also shouldn't have taken Lily's oxygen away, or refused to return it while Lily struggled to breathe. She protested she never said Lily didn't matter, but her actions said otherwise. The family meeting was unlike anything I'd experienced. Nearly 20 family members attended at Aunt Margaret's house, including Vanessa and her husband Marcus, who extended their visit to be there. My parents arrived looking as if they were headed to a funeral. Lily was not present. I'd arranged a babysitter because I didn't want her exposed to a difficult conversation. Aunt Margaret opened with a statement about the meeting's purpose. She asked me to tell the story, which I did calmly and factually. After a long silence, Uncle Tom, the retired pediatric nurse, spoke plainly. When you removed her nasal cannula, you created a medical emergency. Children with severe bronchopulmonary dysplasia can desaturate rapidly, leading to unconsciousness, seizures, cardiac arrhythmia, or death. Her blue lips meant she was in significant distress. My father shifted uneasily. We didn't know it was that serious, he mumbled. Aunt Margaret countered, Grace told you it was serious. Cousin Rachel called the slap what it was. Abusive. Vanessa told my parents she had never required their house to be perfect when she visited, and that had she known they would put Lily at risk to impress her, she would have objected immediately. Lily is your granddaughter too, she said. She deserves the same love and care you show my children. Over nearly 3 hours, relatives shared disappointment, recounted their observations of unequal treatment, and spoke about the need for accommodation and understanding. My grandmother, frail but resolute, said what many felt: they had failed as grandparents and as human beings. By the meeting's end, my parents were crying and promising to change, but promises alone weren't enough. I told them, trust, once broken so completely, doesn't repair itself with words alone. Lily and I won't be coming around until you demonstrate real change. My mother asked what I wanted. I laid out firm practical conditions. Enroll in a certified course on childhood medical conditions, respiratory care, have Lily's equipment properly installed at their house so visits can be safe and comfortable. Apologize to Lily directly in age-appropriate terms, and publicly acknowledge that their behavior was unacceptable. Over the following months, they began taking steps. They completed a pediatric medical conditions course, offered by the local hospital, and contacted Lily's equipment provider about backup systems at their home. Installation and insurance approvals took time, but they engaged with Lily's medical team to understand her needs. Public acknowledgement was harder. My mother posted a statement admitting her serious errors and committing to do better. My father never issued a public statement, but he apologized in person to several family members. Most importantly, they asked to visit and apologize to Lily directly. I agreed, with conditions. When they arrived, they brought flowers for me and dinosaur toys for Lily. They apologized in simple terms. We took away something you need to breathe, and that was wrong. We're sorry we scared you. Lily, with the resilience of a 4-year-old, accepted the apology and wanted to show them her dinosaur book. I watched my parents interact differently, asking about her interests, not complaining about equipment. The visit was supervised and brief, but noticeably better. 6 months after the incident, the family dynamics had changed significantly. My parents had completed training, installed necessary equipment, and learned to monitor Lily's oxygen. Most importantly, they began to see Lily as a child first, not solely as a medical case. Visits remained limited and supervised, but they were consistently positive. My relationship with Vanessa improved. She became an advocate for Lily and increased her visits. Vanessa's children treated Lily like a cousin, not an inconvenience. Extended family rallied in practical ways. Aunt Margaret sent dinosaur care packages. Uncle Tom took on a grandfatherly educational role. Cousin Rachel included Lily equally in family activities. Grandma's revised will provided financial security and sent a clear message about Lily's place in the family. The social media post that ignited the change was deleted, but its effects persisted. People reached out with their own stories and used this as a catalyst to address family issues. Most importantly, Lily thrived. She made medical progress, required oxygen for fewer hours, and enrolled in a pre-K program for children with special needs where she excelled. What I learned is simple. Protecting your child sometimes requires refusing unacceptable treatment, even from family. Quiet conversations had failed for 4 years. Change required consequences. Making people uncomfortable forced them to confront their behavior and ultimately change. I don't regret demanding accountability. Those actions were not revenge. They were acts of love. Lily is now 5 and preparing for kindergarten. Her doctors are cautiously optimistic about further reducing her oxygen dependence. She remains the same dinosaur-obsessed, storytelling, hug-giving child. But now she knows her family loves and accepts her. The scars from that day remain. Lily sometimes asks why Grandma took away her breathing helper. I still feel a flash of anger, remembering my father's hand across my face, but we turned those scars into progress. We used that pain to build something better. Some will say I overreacted or that I should have handled things more privately. But private talks had not worked. People didn't change until the stakes became public. My actions created pressure that drove real lasting change. Now, Lily will grow up knowing her mother fought for her. She'll know medical needs do not diminish worth. She'll know family is made of people who accept and support you, not those who ask you to minimize yourself for their convenience. The road to forgiveness is ongoing, and trust takes time. I remain cautious about leaving Lily alone with my parents, but I am hopeful we are building a healthier family dynamic. My parents failed that test spectacularly, but they've worked hard to pass it since. Love, I've learned, is a choice and an action prioritizing well-being over convenience, understanding needs, and defending those who cannot defend themselves. Those are lessons I never learned as a child. Appearance over authenticity, conformity over acceptance. I refuse to teach Lily those lessons. I want her to know, deep down, that she is enough exactly as she is. The day my mother ripped Lily's oxygen mask off was one of the worst days we've faced. It was also the turning point. That day I finally said, enough. I stopped excusing unacceptable behavior and started insisting on better for my daughter and for myself. And we got better. Not perfect, not without ongoing struggles, but undeniably better. Lily is thriving. Our family relationships have improved. I discovered I'm stronger and braver than I believed possible. Sometimes the firmest response is the one that's needed most. Sometimes you must be willing to dismantle what's broken to rebuild it properly. I would do it all again without hesitation if it meant protecting Lily and making sure she receives the love and respect she deserves. That is what real family priorities look like, putting the well-being of the most vulnerable first, always and without exception. That's the lesson my parents were forced to learn, and it's the lesson I hope Lily never forgets.